Ready to go racing here at the Wild Horse Motorsports Park, and it's time for the final Triple Crown event of the season, a unique format where drivers have to make sure consistency sees them net championship points. Welcome along to the penultimate stop on the iRacing Short Course National Series presented by Next Level Racing. So glad you could join us. Our Junior Kanki Party joined alongside by Dave Arnold. Dave, this has been a wild season so far, and it comes down to 2 more races, and a bull ring awaits us today.
Oh, I mean, this has been an incredible season. We haven't seen it this close in points. You know, we've had a plethora of winners now, which we have seen, okay, it was Luke Knupp, it was Connor Berry, Luke Knupp, Connor Berry. But now Dane Culver's jumped in there. I mean, Briley's jumped in there with a win. And the points, oh my goodness, how tight we are throughout the whole point system. I know Connor and Luke are fighting for that top spot, but Dane Culver's right in there too, with Keaton Swain and Zach Drapkin are all fighting. And look at that, Trenton Briley, Nicholas Dashley tied for points. Mind-blowing.
Yeah, let's dive straight into it because, boy, we've had some fun, and now we've got these 2 rounds left to play. Dane Culver, with that winner last time out, has seen him rise up in front of Keaton Swain by a handful of points. Zachary Drapkin dropping back as a result of all of that. From here, though, let's not forget, it's a 10-round championship, and Dave, we've talked a little about drop round, the fact that you're allowed to have a couple of bad rounds here and there, or in the case of Luke Knupp, miss a couple of races due to real-world commitments. He doesn't have the liberty of making any mistakes here today, but none of the drivers have that liberty in the final round, which has to be included in the championship equation.
Yeah, this round is going to be the last possible chance, and of course, in 2 weeks, we go to that final round. All bets are off at that point. You better either show up or you're done.
And I'm looking forward to what is going to be a wild land rush start, of course, once again. We saw just how crazy that was last week in one of the 2 races that we had. It was a busy week for the drivers. This, though, of course, what the drivers had to deal with the last time they went racing. Let's talk about this regular format. It sees the drivers have to make their way through heat races and then into the LCQs. Slightly different on deck here today, and let's talk about the Triple Crown format. Qualifying has just begun, and Dave, from here, 12 drivers move directly forward to the main event, and then the rest have 6 spots left to determine from 3 6-lap LCQs. 3 main event races then await, and boy, it's been a wild 2 Triple Crown races so far.
Oh yeah, it's insane how these lay out here. And I mean, really, you got to be on your game. You have to qualify well here, and otherwise you're going to be battling trying to fight your way into the main. And it's not as easy when you get this format.
I look at the stats as well. Connor Barry, Luke Canup, Dane Culver, Tyson Miller. 4 drivers splitting what is 6 race wins in the Triple Crown events that we've seen so far. Even though we've have some inverts as well, you take a look at race 2, going to see the top 2 flipped. Race 3, the front 4 flipped. That not necessarily going to be so much of a factor. Let's talk, though, about this bull ring because, well, I really find it interesting how it's the same length as the Wild West Motorsports Park, but in so many ways, Dave, it's so very different.
Yeah, I mean, there's not the elevation change that we see, of course, when we go to Wild West Motorsports, but we do have the big ski jump here, and there's a lot of fast paces, and I'll tell you, it's Harry coming out of turn number 1, banking off the wall, running up 180 degrees, they come back around, and then they leap, and then what's crazy is that tight right-hander. They can really bunch up in there, and I tell you, with this format, it's going to get a little bit racy there.
And I think as well, when it comes to the fact that we've got some of these whoop sort of sections as well, drivers have to be very confident with what the car's kind of doing as they work their way in these tight battle packs. Of course, with the LCQs, the only chance for some of these drivers to move their way on forward as they get themselves underway. Qualifying rolling through right now. We've been warned that we might see some late times onto the board, and there's still plenty of time left to rumble. And you can see at the top of the provisional timesheets, it's Keaton Swain by 1/10 of a second. Yet to see Connor Barry slide his way onto the board. I'm looking up and down my timing sheet. Luke Canup has not even rolled out onto track just yet.
And I'll tell you, this is literally Luke Canup's backyard. He has a lot of time in this track in real life and as well as in the sim. But Connor Barry, he's a tough one to beat here.
Yeah, that's right on board with the points leader as he takes us around a lap, and I think he's already kind of bailed on this one. You can see slightly quicker on the first lap than maybe that second lap, and so he's to second, but only by around 1/2, missing out on that provisional pole. Crystal Kings jumped up into 7th as she rides her way around in the factory SimSport colors, but I guess we'll have to wait and see who's going to try and wait to save their lap times until the very end. Here comes Dane Culver, ready to set what will be his first qualifying lap.
And this is a very tricky course here. And you can see, a lot of the guys, they will ride that wall, and it can either encellar you or it can shoot you out front. But it's this turn here, heading up off the General Tire Leap, up and over into a 180. This is where it gets tricky. You talked about some whoops. There's some unsettling whoops as you come out of this one right here. So you got to pop it off the top there, get that timing right, float from side to side there. As you can see, a nice line by Culver.
It was a very tidy lap overall, and that usually is translated into some speed. It's a 35.162 though, and so that's going to slide him into the mid-pack at best. And in fact, I don't think the lap time ends up counting, so around he goes once again and just throws his car around, tongue sticking out. He's going to have plenty of confidence, I think, Dave, after the win last time out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's going to give you a big boost going into this one, but we were a Crandon short, and we saw how that played out there, and you're going to see how it's going to play out for him here now.
One more time round to the line. Already Keaton Swain is done for the session, I'm pretty sure. Has run through all 4 of his attempts in the session. Now we'll wait for plenty more to roll on out there. There comes the time from Dane Culver. It's good enough for him to leap in front of Connor Barry. And now finally Luke Canup is on track and running around in that splash and go number 5.
Yeah, it's crazy just to see that. They come out of turn number 1 and they smack it off the wall there. You think that would either cause damage or unsettle the truck, but oh no, it's the fast line.
And they've got all of these lines sort of figured out to, millimeter perfection. That is not the fastest line from Luke Canup. I think that indicates he's setting up for what will be his next attempt. Tyson Miller just jumps up to 4th, though, halfway through this session. Clock ticking away. Miller's on to what will be his final attempt. Still got Culver, Barry, and then Dashalay with times in the bank still left to be set. Here comes Canup, though, back around for his fast attempt.
Yeah, you can see how you were right when he was trying to set it up. He took that wide line to carry a lot of speed across that start-finish line there to try and get that momentum into turn number 1.
That seemed a little bit deep, though, out through turn 3, and so he wraps back around to where the line is, and this is also where the restart and start zone will be for the drivers, so that's where they'll fire up the engines in the air, though you cross the line. It's the 34.701, and I think Luke Canup has done enough to go to the top.
That's what I figured. He was trying to figure that out there, and I think that new line coming out of turn number 3 actually worked well for him.
Yeah, what do I know, apparently? Apparently you can set the car up by the truck by V'ing it off the corner quite well. And we see that as well here from Nicholas Dachelet, who's currently on the board in 7th and one of just a handful of drivers still running around the track. Crystal King has just rolled her machine onto the dirt as well. So is Dachelet up and over the line, 34.877 to beat. It's a 34.902. He's got one more chance to improve. It's interesting that as the dirt moves around, iRacing does a great job of simulating that, Dave. Drivers seem to wait to set their qualifying lap times, even with potential blue groove.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, when we get into race conditions, these lines are all going to change up. This is just the fastest way to qualify. When you get a race time, you got three trucks going into turn number 3. It's going to be wherever you can get by.
Here comes King towards the line. And again, I love that you cross the start-finish line effectively in the air, because it means we sometimes see some fights all the way to the line. King still waiting to see an improvement. Dachelet is up to 6th position, and Connor Barry is rolling out onto track alongside of Cody Retzlaff. So 4th and 10th on the board with 3 minutes left to run. King looks again for that little bit of a wider line, so it'll be interesting to, as Dave mentions, track how it's going to compare when we get to the race. But one more corner to go. Look how aggressive Crystal King was in sliding her way through.
Now, there's one thing I really wish. I know we've talked about, with all the tracks they've added, and how the possibility of bringing new tracks in. A lot of these tracks have very similar features, and one I wish they would have brought either is Glen Helen or even the old Lake Elsinore motocross tracks, where you talked about jumping across that start-finish line there. Always so cool right in front of the crowd.
And again, I'm going to make the case that Christopher Plumley wishes that when do we get Wheatland? Hopefully sometime soon. Crystal King went up to 3rd and still has a chance to go even better. But here comes Connor Barry setting up for what will be, I think, his first attempt in this final part of the session. Dane Culver also on track. Dennis Mikkelsen has just jumped up to 16th, out a little bit wide. Connor Barry improves and up to 4th. And look at the times, almost identical to Crystal King. We've got 0.5 of a second splitting the front 5.
Yeah, Connor Barry's definitely got his work cut out for him. Luke set a blistering pace there for sure. Connor back and forth, and even Dane Culver. But Crystal King came out swinging, that's for darn sure.
She is done for the session, though, I can confirm. So it's now just, I think, at least at the front, these two that we watch on our screen. Dane Culver on the bottom, the race winner last time we went racing. We had a double header last week. Trenton Briley, the other winner, and Luke Canup, Connor Barry had been the only 2 winners previously in the season. I think that's Barry done and dusted. He's going quite slowly. Dane Culver jumps up to 3rd, but guess what? It's all a little bit short of the provisional pole sitter, who's Dave just rolled back onto track with one more run still left to go.
Let's see if he get better at there. Of course, Dane, I tell you, sitting 3rd is not too shabby. Got to be very impressed with this young man from the beginning of the season to now, the way he's driving.
Remember, we will cut the top 12 and bring them forward into the main event directly. Everyone else has to go through one of a handful of LCQs, and so ultimately no invert either. Let's not forget, for the first of the main events, Dane Culver to the line. It's a 34.870. No improvement for him. He will line up 3rd when we get underway for the main event. It was also an improvement for Cody Winicki, but here comes the already provisional pole sitter, just trying to dance and show off a little bit in the splash and go machine. Jumps across the line, finds another 0.5 of a second, and puts his mark in the qualifying session.
A little splash and go. You can go, you got Firebird Lake right behind him. So you can get that thing. I bet that thing would probably just dance right across the water.
I've got to say, that was a dominant effort in qualifying, and 5 very important championship points have just gone the way of Luke Canup. He's gained 4 points overall on Connor Barry, but that's ultimately all. A little bit of a moot point for the time being. Let's focus on 3 LCQs that lie in front of us, because again, remember, only a handful of spots available in the main events from here. Let's take a look at the starting grid for the first of the LCQs, where Jeremy DeWitt, Dennis Mikkelsen, and then Cole Fisher, Taylor Vandenbush, and Brent Smith make up the 5 trucks that will do battle. And again, do not forget that only 2 of them advance from the laps that we've got ahead of us. So it's really not much that these drivers are going to be able to do. They've really got to get the pedal to the metal.
Oh, yeah, definitely agree on that one. There is no time to waste, no hesitation here. You have to be on the pedal. One of the things about this track, it gets a little tough to pass because there's such high speeds. You got to really put that car where you want it, and hopefully nobody's there when you do.
You can see from up above, you can see the lake off in the backdrop. What other, off-road facilities, Dave? Unfortunately, I'm not too well versed with all the great ones. I only really know the ones on iRacing. Which ones would you love to see us bring over to the service? Because I'm sure there's plenty you've got in mind.
Oh, I mean, for sure, I'd love to see Wheatland. I mean, we talked about Wheatland coming. I mean, Glen Helen, go throwback to the old Lake Elsinore Motorsports Park. And, man, it's too bad it's gone now, but back in the day with the Quarry down in San Diego, absolutely insane course. They'd run up a hill, a big 180 off a big Daytona turn, and the leap down, I mean, it had to have been at least a 250-foot drop.
Man, my stomach's just getting unsettled thinking about that. I haven't even seen it visually, but engines revving, drivers getting their final just words from race control before they go racing. Remember, only 4 laps for these LCQs. Quick correction on what we mentioned slightly earlier. So, Dave, there are going to be, 3 drivers here that do their 4 laps in qualifying, their 4 laps in the LCQ, and that's them done. They score no championship points going into that season finale. I'm not sure if there's too many championship contenders down in any of these LCQs, but still, it's going to be a lot of stress, I think, for all of them as they get ready to roll.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all about, finishing out the season. I mean, I love the people that stick in. They know they're not in the battle. You get out there, you get the time. The more seat time you get, the better you get. So when you go into the next season, you have an advantage.
And the other thing is, I will always just remind the drivers, thank you for their ability to be flexible with the schedule and accommodating a slight shift from Thursdays to Wednesdays to come over to RaceSpot TV for the rest of the season, hopefully back on Thursdays for the rest of the foreseeable future. They'll have a pace lap to get underway behind that pace truck, but then remember, in the restart zone, Jeremy DeWitt's going to have control of the field and be able to punch his way to the green flag. 5 enter, 2 move on forward, and there's only 4 laps of racing, which estimates out at 2.5 minutes. So get your moves done early, or counterpoint to that, Dave, try and stay out of trouble.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to happen quick, I'll tell you. You got to get up, you got to fight your way to the front, and then you got to hold on to it. There's a whole lot of footsteps coming after you.
Off and away goes that pace truck, and we're ready to go. 3 LCQs and only 6 spots in the main events up for grabs. It's Triple Crown Racing here at the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, and it's a late hold. Up and away we go over the jump. Jeremy DeWitt alongside of Dennis Mickelson, but a big slide from Cole Fisher, who gets the elbows out and moves up into that second transfer spot. 3 wide behind, though, on the climb up into turn number 2. Side by side up front. Remember, top 2 move forward.
And DeWitt will be on the inside line coming down off the leap there, and it looks like Fisher going to try to squeeze the inside, push him a little wide there. You can see Brett Smith, though, fighting his way, trying up the outside move. Let's see if he can make it happen. Dives to the inside.
Jeremy DeWitt back to the point, but really a bit of elbows out through that final corner. These 3 drivers have to make sure they don't get tangled up in the air. There was some contact. Mickelson around the outside, and Dave, he'll now try and take advantage because Cole Fisher's still trying to battle for the race lead.
And you can see you can get that thing rotating in the air. Fisher now is going to push DeWitt a little wide. Mickelson trying to shoot up there, and you can see Vanderbush and Smith still fighting it out.
There's almost fiberglass going flying. There may be now because Vandenbush and Smith almost collect one another. But over the whoops, Mickelson a little bit out wide, but 2 laps complete, 2 laps left to go. It's Fisher that's charged his way forward into the lead of this race. Jeremy DeWitt on the bubble now as we fly over the line. And behind, Brent Smith and Vandenbush come together.
Yeah, I'll tell you, these 2 are like magnets to each other, just beating and banging on each other for sure. But a beautiful move by Fisher as he able to slide back out. I mean, DeWitt, Fisher, and Mickelson were 3 wide heading into turn number 3. You can see Fisher able to establish that lead and able to pull away just a little bit now, and was leaving DeWitt to go into protection mode. 3 laps are down out of 4. There's not much time left.
And I guess at this point, if you are Cole Fisher, you're comfortable. Dennis Mickelson will be on the inside trying to force his way on forward as across the line they go. Great shot from under the rear suspension of Dennis Mickelson. There sounded like there was a bit of contact, not once but twice, and thrice off the corner. Still banging doors, running up to turn 2.
Oh, man, these guys are definitely leaning on each other. I mean, they know that is the final spot. Oh, a little bit of a door slam by DeWitt on Mickelson. Mickelson and DeWitt still attached door to door there. DeWitt turns into him. And it looks like Mickelson's going to try and push him wide, put that line away from him, see if he can stick it to the inside. But DeWitt answers back. with a great inside line, pushing them wide.
And well, it was a battle that we enjoyed through all of 4 laps. Short race, but Cole Fisher, Jeremy DeWitt, barring race control's intervention, have done enough to move on forward to the 3 main event races that we have lying up ahead of us. And don't forget, don't go anywhere. We've still got 2 more of these LCQs left to rumble. Let's take you down to the official results from iRacing, hoping that race control does not have to intervene here. But unfortunately, Brent Smith and Vandenbush tangling with one another draw themselves out of the fight, and Dennis Mickelson's Team Rogue Machine just comes up short, with Fisher and DeWitt moving on forward. Second of the LZQs already ready to go, and only 4 trucks. Sean Winkler and Paul Mikołajczyk, the 2 teammates, will be trying to work together to prevent Cross Kirchmeier and Dennis Crosby from advancing. This is going to be interesting, especially given how physical that first race was that we just saw, Dave.
Yeah, I gotta wonder if there's gonna be a little bit of team blocking going on too. There's always the teammates looking out for each other, but you know what? 50% are not gonna make it to the main event.
That's a brutal number as well. And again, they get 4 laps of racing. Imagine all the preparation that they've done. Sometimes we talk to drivers in iRacing World Championships. I think of Brian Lockwood in the Porsche Esports Super Cup. Dave, he once said that he did 70 hours of preparation for the first round of the championship. Can you imagine getting to do that out there in the real world?
Oh man, that is long. That's like 2 full weeks during the real world. If you put a 40-hour week in, you're pretty damn close to it right there. I mean, what, do you have time for anything else?
Oh, I mean, I don't think so. A lot of these esports teams are now full-time, and that's where I guess, Racecraft, you've got Nitro Circus Sim Racing Team, you've got Team Gold, Team Rogue, Factory Simsport. I'm sure I missed a couple of the big teams, Just the Trim, Angelics. They all work together, trying to band together on their resources. The benefit of being in the sim is you get so much data, so much driving time, and the ability to dial in the settings of the track and the weather as well. So you've got to make use of it and work together in the best possible way.
You talked about weather. I'd love to see it. There's a few times we've raced in the rain, and boy, does that change things up.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, other than when we've had Vegas is another track, by the way, bring up. We had a horrible storm, but it was a cool track. We also had Salt Lake City, so the track. But the trucks, there was so much rain, so much mud, they weren't able to race because the carts came in, and it added probably about 300-400 pounds of mud to the vehicle. They don't handle very well that way.
Oh, that's incredible. And now I need iRacing to also add rain to these short truck machines. Ready to go, and once again, just waiting for the field to be sent off into that starting zone. It's Racecraft 1 and 2. Can Paul Mikołajczyk work alongside of Sean Winkler and prevent Cross Kirchmeier and Dennis Crosby from moving on forward? They'll hold on through the opening corner. Important here as well, because Kirchmeier and Crosby have to make sure they don't fight in and amongst themselves. Up towards turn 2, they run. Bit of contact being made, and they're fighting side by side for 3rd position.
Yeah, it looked like it was already a little bit of bump and run between the teammates. They go, but it's Winkler who jumps out early. Mikołajczyk, he's going to go into protection mode at this point. He's going to get those elbows about 20 feet wide. But a big mistake. You talked about those whoops. Well, it bit Paul Mikołajczyk. Crosby able to capitalize on the pass. Kirchmeier, though, unfortunately did not take advantage of it.
And well, Sean Winkler's going to be pretty happy, but his teammates are in a world of trouble. There was contact off the corner and continuing to sail clear up front. Just look at all of that fighting. 3 wide as they plunge their way down into turn 3. Mikołajczyk's in the middle and now trying to cut back underneath. This as, of course, Winkler breaks away. Music to his ears as still 3 wide they go. This is where Mikołajczyk made the mistake. This time it's Crosby, all sorts of crossed up.
Yeah, I tell you, I haven't seen those whips come into play as much as they have this round within 2 laps. They already changed it up. Mikołajczyk got caught, then Kirchmeier got caught. Mikołajczyk luckily was on the right side this time, but you can see Crosby really gets shuffles back. Kirchmeier now into that 3rd position, but Crosby trying to look low, but Kirchmeier not going to have anything to do with it. Teammates are one thing, but when you're fighting for a last qualifying position, you just got to go for it sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. I think every driver for themselves at some point when it comes to situations like this. Kirchmeier a little bit squirrely over the whoops, and as we get ready to cross over the line once more, Crosby alongside, and with the white flag being waved, I think Paul Mikołajczyk must be feeling relatively comfortable. Big slide job there from Crosby, but a bit too far behind onto the final lap.
Yeah, it's really cool. Every time I see Dennis Crosby, it reminds me of Josh Merrill, the old Hart Huntington MAV TV truck. always such an entertaining driver to watch. And I'm seeing that a little bit from Crosby.
Unfortunately, though, we only get to see him for the 4 laps. A nod of the head there from Sean Winkler, who's had some fun in LCQs here on RaceSpot in recent memory. He moves his way forward to the main event. Teammate joins him in Paul Miko Lijek. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Cross Kirchmeier, Dennis Crosby. That should all be provisional, though. I don't think Race Control is going to have much to say after that second LCQ. Quick confirmation of the results, and we'll flick the page on over to the final of the LCQs. Not sure what differentiates the Racecraft team from Racecraft Academy, but maybe a bit of education there from Sean Winkler. We'll see what Race Control has to say. They've already told us no changes from LCQ number 1. 4 trucks lined up for the final LCQ, though, and Cody Vanderveer wants to join the Racecraft contingent in moving forward. Cameron McGidgeck's alongside, and then Oliver Golding and Nathan Metoxen share row 2. And I think there's going to be some surprises here in who moves on forward, Dave, especially knowing how strong these 4 drivers can all be.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of crazy. I mean, these guys have all been battling for. It's kind of shocking they all got sent to the LCQ because these guys are usually, in the heat races, they're qualifiers. But again, 50-50 in this one. I think the 2 in front are going to have a better 50-50 chance, though.
I think you flip a coin and you hope whoever you pick in terms of your choice stays out of trouble as the drivers get their instructions to roll for, again, what is a full formation lap. Some time for them to settle in and think about the moves. And I'm sure in some cases, these drivers, Dave, have been watching the opening 2 LCQ, so they kind of have a sense of how others have raced, what the track's kind of doing as well, and what they need to be thinking about and keeping in mind.
Well, I think they have to keep in mind those whip section there that you saw. It's already pretty much, changed up the qualifying for these guys in the last race. Saw it happen twice. A little mistake totally changed it.
We will get a track reset, by the way, when we go racing for the 3 main events, but only at the start. Once we get racing, there's no resets after that. So even though there's not really much evolution in the track over these 3 LCQs, just something to keep in mind, especially with the open setups that all of these drivers do have to dial in and to really tweak to their disposal. And again, that's where we talked about the team slightly earlier, the ability to work together, to discuss the feeling and handling of the truck, to dial it into the best performance window. Very much important. Not really formed up especially well as we head out through the final corner. They're ready to go for the final of the LCQs. 2 more spots in the 18 truck main event on the line, and Cody Vanderveer, Cameron McGidgeck on the front row get us going in the air. It's side by side though for second spot. McGidgeck under pressure. Here comes Oliver Golding with a slide up to turn 2.
And Golding looking on the inside there is making a big run there. We can see Metoxen making the run there. Golding on the outside. And the number 70, Cody Vanderveer with a great run. Metoxen, though, the green machine, trying to get up there. But look at this! A beautiful dive to the inside there. 253 of Cameron McGidgeck. Ooh, I tell you see those things are just unsettling the truck.
And now there'll be 3 wide, but all in the fight for the final transfer spot. Up and in the air. It's going to be on the outside. Metoxen's just a trim machine that tries to take advantage. Another slide job from McGidgeck. Running away goes Cody Vanderveer. It might be another Racecraft machine to advance, but in the fight behind, all sorts of cattywampus. Metoxen gets sent into the back of McGidgeck, and Oliver Golding on the outside now down into turn 3 tries to take advantage.
And the Mole Lake machine of McGidgeck trying to come around. Look at this, 3 wide again. Through the whips they go, and you start hitting each other through that. You can see it really changed it up there. You can see Metoxen unfortunately got the raw end of the deal on that one when they came through the whips. But Golding getting a little sideways. McGidgeck looking to the inside there, but Golding would have a fast outside line.
And we haven't seen the drivers ramp off the corners as much as they did in qualifying. They just cannot afford to do that and maybe get pinched. Metoxen's going to squeeze McGidgeck off of turn 2 and allows Oliver Golding to just open the margin just a little bit more. White flag in hand. Next time by, we'll see the final lap of this race. Metoxen with a slide job. Cody Vanderveer's run away. Oliver Golding's tried to do so as well, and 1 lap to go might just be in the catbird seat.
Well, I think once you break away and you're not battling, you can see when we saw they went 3 wide through there, caused problems. Well, once you break away, you just got to run your fast lines. You see Golding actually using that qualifying line up off the wall, and it's paying off. Toxin doing what he can, but it's going to be a little too late for this with the final lap. White flag is out. Checkered will be coming out this time by.
And again, in some ways, it's a shame that we only get to see these drivers for the handful of laps. Cody Vanderveer, another one of the racecraft machines to move on forward, and he'll cross his way across the line alongside of Oliver Golding. Race control advances with no intervention across of all three of the LCQs, exactly what we kind of wanted to see, because now we can get ready to go for the main event racing action. Quick look at the results, and then we'll step aside for a few minutes, get the drivers gridded up for the first of the three main events. Here's a look at the results. Vanderveer, Golding, Metoxen, and McGijic. A couple of changes, of course, from how they started. Golding sliding his way on forward, but Metoxen and McGijic might be a little frustrated. Their days come to an end. And just like that, Dave, we get ready to go for those three main events. As I mentioned, the drivers still have to get ready to go into a second iRacing session. They'll get the track reset. They'll get gridded up manually for the qualifying session. And maybe most importantly, with Luke Canup grabbing pole position in qualifying, he'll start at the front of the first of those main events and get ready to lead us to the green.
Yeah, we've seen inversions happen quite a bit, and it's really changed things up this season so far, but sounds like they're going to qualify. So how they're going to line up.
Well, let's step aside here then on RaceSpot TV. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, it's plenty of racing to come here from the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park.
In the
permission to engage with the test, conducting smash, over.
And just like that, the main event is ready to go. Well, not just one, 3 individual races, championship points to be paid out at the very end of the night. Welcome back along to the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park and to RaceSpot TV for coverage of the iRacing Short Course National Series presented by Next Level Racing. Our Junior Kanky Party joined alongside by the voice of off-road Dave Arnold. And Dave, we saw 3 very chaotic, very hectic LCQ races. Now we slightly increase the race length, we throw more trucks onto the track. It's only going to get more crazy from here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this track, when there's a lot of trucks on it, it gets physical for sure. What you got to do is you got to break away early, and you got to let everybody fight behind you. I think that's the key here at Wild Horse Pass.
Don't worry, I make that mistake all the time. It's very easy. We're talking about two bull rings, of course, at the end of the day. What an interesting journey we've been on, of course. First 6 rounds, it was Luke Canup, Connor Barry domination. Trenton Browley and Dane Culver broke through last week in the doubleheader that we had, and it set up what is a very, very close fight at the top of the championship. Let's talk, though, about the Triple Crown format, though, in particular, because we've got some unique things coming up right now. 10 minutes of racing in the first of the main event, with no invert from how the 12 drivers qualified initially, and then how the rest of the 6 at the back line up from the LCQs. After that, add 2 minutes in length for each of the second and third races, invert 2 additional cars as we move our way forward as well, and accumulate points in each of those races. Dave, Connor Barry and Luke Canup have each won one of these Triple Crowns so far. They are focused on, I'm sure, on the task at hand. Maximum points paid out to whoever wins the Triple Crown event at the end of the evening.
Now the question is, who's going to be the spoiler here at Wild Horse Pass? Dane Culver's got that win. We also Keaton Swain. You know, he's a guy. You know, I know he struggled here a little bit, but man, I can really see him fighting his way up there.
And, you know, especially when we talk about the drivers outside of the top of the championship fight, right? As much as Barry and Canup, that gap, what it was at the start of the night, qualifying has already seen it shrink by 4 points between Barry and Canup. Dane Culver's only 3 ahead of Keaton Swain. Zachary Drapkin dropped back slightly in that fight. Trenton Browley, Nicholas Dashley tied on 217. Crystal King's 4 points clear. Sean Winkler and Cody Winicki tied on points. And how important then for for Sean Winkler, Dave, to make his way into the main event, right? Because he was in a very real possibility of being eliminated in LCQ and not having a chance to fight here for the 3 races that lie ahead.
Yeah, especially with him and Cody Winicki right now tied with 185 points. This is really going to see if they can separate there, get away without being tied. Because, you know, I'm going to say it. Tying sucks. You just don't want to be there.
And one final thing before we take a look at the starting grid for the first main event, Dave. This is the final round, which can be dropped from the championship mix. A 10-round season, drivers allowed 2 rounds effectively to go wrong, or, in Luke Canup's case, to go out and fulfill his real-world racing commitments. Now, though, it's full focus on the task at hand, which is just finishing today with as good a finish as possible, and knowing that next time out, 2 weeks from today, there's no dropping the points. It's all about finishing at the front.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. I think this is going to set the tone right now. And, of course, you know, if you've had a bad round and you're doing well in this one, you don't want to use this one as a drop round. I know Connor hasn't dropped any. You know, I know, unfortunately, Keaton Swain's already dropped some. Canup's dropped some. You know, it's going to be interesting to see how it go. But, you know, Zach Drapkin's been there. Can he, you know, get up in there? He's doing well. He's fighting it. You know, I'm waiting for Zach to really come to his own.
And again, dropped back slightly last time. Let's see what he can do this time around. I think there is a bit of pressure in some ways on his shoulders to fight his way forward and fight his way forward early. We're ready to go, though. Let's take you down to the starting grid to see how they're going to line up for the first of the main events. 10 minutes of racing lies in front of us. Luke Canup, Keaton Swain have been waiting for a while, but they'll rumble from the front with Dane Culver and then Crystal King behind them. Connor Barry, points leader, will be alongside Tyson Miller, who is one of just 4 drivers to have won a Triple Crown race this season. Watch out for the Terminator on row number 3. 7th for Cody Winicki, who's alongside Nicholas Dashley in the fight for 10th and above in the championship. Matthew Lindy and then Cody Retzlaff round out your top 10, with Christopher Plumley and Trenton Browley, the final 2 drivers, moving forward directly from qualifying. It'll be Cole Fisher, Sean Winkler, and then Cody Vanderveer and Jeremy DeWitt alongside Paul Mikalajic and Oliver Golding, fighting from the back of the field and with some work to do. But let's just reiterate the fact that, Dave, the points accumulated over each of the main events, you've got to be consistently at the front, and that's why with the relatively small inverts that we have, I think Luke Canup going to be feeling very confident about his chances here today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Luke Canup's just so fast. Like I said, this is literally his backyard. If he doesn't have to physically be there, he could probably be there in 5 minutes. So he knows his track like literally anything. But I'll tell you what, Connor Barry's already won here. Can he do it again? Or is Keaton Swain? You know, we're going to have 3 races to find out who's going to come on top. And looking at Connor Barry, he's a little deep in the field.
I found it fascinating as well that, you know, last week it was the week of the first-time winners, both for Dane Culver and for Trenton Browley. Of course, plenty of emotion when it comes to a first-time win. From that point forward, though, it gives you that leapfrog, right? The springboard that you can use to take forward from there. Just got the note from Race Control, though, Just to watch out on this race start. We've talked a little bit about starting zones when the leader is going to be allowed to fire. The other thing that they're going to have to watch for is to make sure they maintain the 30-mile-an-hour start speed. We might have them roll back around if there is a little bit of uncoordination on the start and see them rumble once more. It's going to be fun, though. Let's not forget, we have 3 of these races. 10 minutes for the first main event, 12 minutes for main event number 2, and then 14 minutes for the final one. Points are paid out for the position you finish, and at the end of the evening, whoever has the most total points gains 50 very valuable championship points. It's going to be Luke Knupp at the front in that splash and go machine, hoping to splash at the front and go at the drop of the green flag. It's a bit of a hold initially, but away we go, and already Luke Knupp slides his way clear in through the opening corner. It allows Dane Culver the chance to challenge, but as Keaton Swain tries to cut back underneath, running up towards turn number 2, Connor Barry under pressure around the outside from Tyson Miller. It's a tidy start, though, at the front.
Yeah, and you can see Luke Knupp hit that wall just perfectly, shot him out front. Keaton Swain's going to dive in that second spot, but look at this. Culver looking low on Swain as he makes the move through here. Through the whoops they go. Swain gets a little unsettled there, able to hold that inside line. And it looks like we've got it a little bit. Crystal King fighting her way up there. Connor Barry still has a better disposition, sitting back in 5th.
And again, remember, top 2 invert after this, and so only the front row effectively going to swap hands. Not really a disadvantage in many ways, so Keaton Swain fighting a lot to try and hold on to that position, as behind, that looked like a couple of cars almost mounting the wall and getting unsettled. You can see some moves being thrown. The dirt effectively reset to where it was at the start of qualifying, and you're going to see it move around over the course of each of the main events. Look how uncomfortable it is further back in the pack, though. Luke Knupp almost half a second clear at the end of lap number 2, and Dane Culver still riding in line. No one really looking aggressive at the front.
Arjuno, I like the way you put that. It looks a little uncomfortable in the back. It is. You don't have much room to move in. If you're not in first, you're fighting back there. You got to get those elbows out. Sometimes you got to get that car, kind of force them in there. It's like getting the shoehorn out.
Oh, yes, that feels uncomfortable at times as well, and just trying to make sure it fits perfectly. Connor Barry looks calm. I would feel a little less calm, if I'm being honest, in his position, given that Luke Knupp is so quick so far, and every position at the end of the night is going to be worth 2 points. It's 6 points right now, the margin in the championship. You want a little bit of buffer going into what is going to be a wild round at the Crandon International Raceway. First bit of separation, though. Matthew Lindy under pressure as Cody Winicki all over the rear end.
Now, the question is that what the 5 points awarded for the fastest qualifying time? Okay, so 6 points still the separation.
It's 5 points for pole and 1 point then for Connor Barry for qualifying down in 5th. So, you know, he claws back a single point, but relatively marginal at the end of the day. On board with race winner Trenton Briley as he looks quite calm, and in front of him, Cody Winicki. Big slide job on Matthew Lindy.
And yeah, you can say keeping calm. And that's so good. You don't want to get frustrated. When you start getting frustrated, you start making mistakes. Sometimes, you know, a lot of the drivers, you know, keeping your heart rate down, you know, staying smooth, not, you know, jerking the wheel around. It's all about staying calm.
And I think at the front it's going to get a little less calm because Crystal King's lost the back of the top 3. And so now Connor Barry on the outside of the Terminator. Tyson Miller's going to really be put under pressure through the opening quarter. What a move that is, though, from the points leader. Confidence and a move worthy of a champion. Connor Barry forward to 5th.
That's right. Crystal King, though, with a great line. She took the fast line away. Connor Barry and Tyson Miller both had to tuck in right behind them. Also, Nicholas Dachalet, he's in that train as they come out of turn number 3. Barry looking on the inside. Crystal King keeping that middle preferred line, as I like to say.
You can see them also moving a little bit more up and down through the dirt because it is starting to be slung around. Not much blue groove necessarily to talk of, but because the laps are so short here, because we do more laps compared to a Buck River or to a Crandon, the impact of the trucks moving around becomes more pronounced that little bit earlier. Top 3 running away, and Dane Culver just has a great spot to sit and ride as he sees the fighting in front of him. Keaton Swain and Luke Knupp running away at the front of the field.
And I think Dane Culver's best maneuver is to keep an eye on right now where Swain's going to go to try and get up and get into Luke Knupp's basically space at that point. That could be a good time that Dane Culver might take an advantage, because when you start racing with somebody, you tend to slow down a little bit. If you can get past that and find that daylight, going to go. But I'll tell you, Luke Knupp, he's got some good lines.
Connor Barry's made the move on Crystal King, so just keep an eye as well on his margin. He has got to close the gap almost halfway through this first main to just try and put himself in contention to try and pass Dane Culver, Keaton Swain when we make our way into those closing stages. Speaking of Swain, it's been a bit of a late season resurgence, I think, in some ways from the sim coach's number 21, but it's not to say the speed hasn't been there. What we're seeing, though, I think, is a bit more aggression, which sometimes you need. You can't afford to be too passive in racing that's as physical as this, and there comes the physicality through turn number 2, side by side up front.
And you can see if Swain starts to lean on him a little bit, you could leave that down low. I thought Culver was going to definitely dive to the inside, but he's going to try and get to the inside now as Swain, as he starts to lean up on Knupp. Swain doing everything he can to keep that, basically filled up in the back end of Luke Knupp.
Ensconced in that sim rig is Dane Culver. I've got to say, I really do enjoy seeing that sim rig perspective, not just because we see the tongue stick out, but because you see him just wrapped around. It seems like such a comfortable experience as compared to some of the sim rigs where you feel a little bit more open and sometimes free, I feel, in your movement, still battling up front, and you can see that Barry is starting to close and just little by little bringing himself closer.
A little bit of net coating going on by Swain, something we haven't seen in a while. Everybody's had such stable connections here. Let's see if that's going to become an issue. As you can see, leaning on the left-hand side. All three of these guys are taking that outside wall. Some of the drivers will know when I make this reference there, but the old Robbie Woods line, boy, he used to take that thing right up on the wall and actually made moves on Carl Renazader back in the day.
So that's an actual realistic racing line, Dave, is what you're telling me?
Well, it's not a line that they like to see used, but yeah, it was used several times.
That is about probably as close to realistic then as you can get on iRacing, because I've heard similar comments from Race Control. Slide job from Keaton Swain, and Luke Knupp has to balk his momentum, check up, and allow Swain to slide on forward in the air. Shoves the 21 out of the way, though. Out through turn 2, still a little bit more contact. Dane Culver will sweep up the inside. Great racing, but the champ is closing. Connor Barry, little by little, is making his way closer to the fight for the front.
Man, it looks like Culver got on the bicycle just a little bit, able to go in and had contact. Fortunately, ended up hurting him a little bit, lost that momentum. And it looks like one of the drivers, unfortunately, at the top end, is pulled off just a little bit. You can see him parked up there as this battle continues, as the train of trucks goes by that stripe one more time.
You can see the speed as well. It's a bull ring, yes, but these are moving at speed and moving with momentum as well. 3 minutes to go. I think we've probably got 5 or so laps. Barry is within a second of the lead, and don't count him out with some of the slide jobs that get thrown. Culver to the inside of Keaton Swain. Remember, the position they finish is the amount of points they score in this Triple Crown. That will hold true for the second main event, for the third main event as well. Whoever accumulates the most points, 50 championship points go their way. 2.5 minutes to go, though, and Keaton Swain's looking feisty.
And something I'd like to point out, we're not seeing a comp caution in this one.
Yeah, good point. We usually slow the field down, give them a chance to reset. Not giving them that chance this time by. There goes Swain, though, trying to set up the crisscross once more.
Well, you can see Swain now looking to the inside there, almost hitting that 2-minute mark. They come out of turn 3, hit the bumps there, the final turn coming around there. And Barry's starting to come up and tag the rear end of Dane Culver at this point. This is going to be interesting. We're going to have a 4-way battle for 3 spots coming out of race number 1.
And it's 4 of the finest, but only Keaton Swain yet to win a race this season. Could he become the 3rd different driver to win a Triple Crown race this season? Of course, Luke Knupp and Connor Barry have been the other 2 to win the events. We've seen Dane Culver and Tyson Miller actually win races over the course, though, of these individual little Triple Crown affairs that we have. Connor Barry hasn't really looked too aggressive. He's done the hard work of moving forward, now trying to see where everyone goes in front, and they've got some traffic in Jeremy DeWitt that they may have to work their way through. 90 seconds ago, there's another little bit of internet difficulties for Keaton Swain, and what's happened to Dane Culver, who's come to a stop on the exit of turn 1 and down on pit lane for the number 51.
Oh, that is an absolute heartbreaker. We had that 4-way battle going on. Now let's see, Connor's going to move up into that 3rd position. Swain's going to lean a little bit on Knupp as they came by the stripe once again. Turn 1, net carrying a little bit more. It's a little bit of a flash. You can see the replay there where Culver just pulls right off.
Oh, he just lands a little bit awkwardly, and I wonder if that did damage then on landing that meant he would not be able to run any further. That gives Connor Barry a free point, though, here in the Triple Crown, and so 3 at the front, 1 more lap to go next time by, and Luke Knup's held on so far, absorbed this pressure very well.
Oh, I'll tell you, Connor has been very calm, very collected at this point. You know, thinking about position there. DeWitt nicely moves out of the way, you know, not to impede the race leader's momentum there. It looks like we're going to get 1 more lap in here, possibly. 15 seconds on the clock as it counts down.
There is the look with the General Tire and CBR driver Connor Barry. Gets a good run off of turn 1. You can see him lose some momentum, and the hood pops back into existence for him for a second there. Handful more corners to go, and Luke Knupp has driven almost perfectly so far. Keaton Swain, will he try the bump and run? Remember, we'll invert the top 2 when we get ready to go for main event number 2. Barry in the Catberg seat, and what a fight it has been. But Luke Knupp and Keaton Swain not going to be separated by much at the line. The Splash and Go machine victorious in the first main event of the night.
What an absolutely crazy ending there. Got to give it up. Connor Barry fought his way back. A heartbreaker for Dane Culver. But how about Crystal King holding on to that 4th spot with Tyson Miller running out the top 5.
And we didn't even really focus much on that fight, but it was a great fight. Don't forget, with Miller, Dashley, Briley, with Nicky in that little bit of a grouping, and the final drivers make their way across the line. And we'll grab a look at the provisional results. Now, Race Control will still have a chance to finalize the results with some penalties if they deem fit, but I'm not sure how much there is necessarily for them to do, especially between the Team Golden Factory SimSport machines at the front. Knupp and Keaton Swain split by less than 2/10 at the line, and the Nitro Circus Sim Racing machine of Connor Barry third. He'll be very happy with the recovery after a rather disappointing qualifying by his standards. Crystal King leads a trio of factory SimSport cars across the line, 4th, 5th, and 6th spot, with Tyson Miller and Dashley behind. Trenton Briley 7th in front of Cody Winicki, and then Matthew Lindy, Cody Retzlaff, the rest of the top 10. Cole Fisher is 11th in the Angelix Racing car. Cody Vanderveer 12th with Paul Mikołajek, and then Oliver Golding and Sean Winkler. Those scored on the lead lap. Christopher Plumley, the only driver that took to pit lane and returned, down 1 lap in 16th. Word from pit lane was Dane Culver broke a wheel. That's why he ended up needing to head back to the box. Wow. Jeremy DeWitt down at the very back, and that is big drama already. We'll get ready to go for the second of the main events. Remember, top 2 invert, so Keaton Swain this time will get ready to punch the throttle alongside of Luke Knupp. Connor Barry, Crystal King, and then Tyson Miller and Nicholas Dashley line up through the rest of the top 6 with Briley, Winicki, Lindy, Retzlaff, Fisher, and Vanderveer, your top 12. And 6 more drivers: Mikołajek, Golding, Winkler, Plumley, Culver, and DeWitt. Remember, outside of the top 2, it's line up as you finished, and you had a bit of a wow there when you heard that Dane Culver broke a wheel. I'm a bit shocked, if I'm honest, Dave, to find out you can do that here at the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park.
I have not heard of that yet. That was actually a first for me. I just realized there is no Drapkin, so it's probably going to be his dropped race on this one.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even catch that one until just now.
Yep.
Thank you for that. I will try and I'm pretty sure Zach's been here for most of the other rounds, so this will end up being his drop confirmed.
Yes, I agree.
So it's Luke Knupp that's in that slightly different situation, of course, where he's missed the 2 rounds. This definitely would not end up being one of his drops. They are getting ready to start to roll around once again. So as they do so, let's see if we can pop up into the top right corner of the screen. Now, this is how the Triple Crown points are playing out. So it's a little bit weird and funky in that regard. So Luke Knupp, Keaton Swain, Connor Barry, 1, 2, and 3. Remember, they finished at the front. This is how they would finish as well. But you can tell that Knupp and Swain would be tied on points, and we'd have to go into that final race to settle it all. We had 2 more minutes this time, Dave, and the track has continued to evolve as we worked our way through that first main event.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy how that goes. This format is just, I think it's awesome. Love this format, the way it's set up. And there we go, Keaton Swain having some internet problems again. You're getting a little blinky.
It's not comfortable. It's disconcerting for those behind. For Luke Knupp, it might actually be a bit of a benefit if he can work past for the lead in a clean fashion. You mentioned as well, some of the the fact that these drivers, we're talking in the break that we had, you've seen them grow up in a lot of ways, Dave, and, evolve as drivers. I think it's fascinating to see how, some of these drivers, they compete at the top level in the real world. They do so in the sim as well, and they're just so fast. It's unbelievable.
I think it's a great way to keep the skills. I mean, honestly, I think it actually helped Connor in his real life driving too.
Ooh.
I really do. Especially during COVID, he was able to get in there a lot.
And that's where the hours, the repetitions come into play that we keep talking about. Up in the air, and the championship leaders side by side in through the opening corner. Barry not hanging around, but on the outside, Luke Canup will hold on to second. Keaton Swain holds the race lead. No technical issues for him. Ramping off of that first corner, though, handful of cars behind side by side. Here comes the challenge for the race lead.
And a good challenge it is there. And you can see Canup's going to jump right in behind Swain, but look to the inside. You got Barry and Crystal King trying to make a move up there. Dachelet trying to follow behind there. I actually just got a text from Zach saying he had a college exam. First race he's missed in 5 years.
I mean, if you're going to miss a race, that's a good reason, Zach, and I hope that it all went well. They're battling, though, in your absence, side by side as Canup back past Connor Barry, all as Keaton Swain breaks away, not even 60 seconds clear, and already a second built up at the front of the field. Crystal King trying to get to the inside. I saw Nicholas Dachelet pinched on the run up through turn 2, so there's going to be some separation building. Let's not forget top 4 invert. Crystal King in a great spot right now.
Oh, Crystal King's in a beautiful. The top 4 have really started to separate there. You can see the delineation line, the green, showing the top 4 racers where they're at. And it's actually a good separation as we see. She's really had a time. And look at this. We got 5 now on the breakaway. Tyson Miller is getting up there also.
Yeah, the Terminator trying to join the Factory SimSport teammate up front. Let's see if we can go back in time and figure out what happened to poor Nicholas Dachelet. This is up and over the jump. He's already made the mistake there. Gets contact with Miller, and now off the corner. Oh, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, Briley also getting that mix there too. Tyson with Nicky looks like he was also getting there. But man, look at this. Canup now holding off Connor Barry as Keaton Swain slowly creeps away.
On board with Crystal King in that 4th position, would be in that inverted pole position for the final main event of the night. Slides a little bit wide out through turn 2, and all as still that gap for the race lead holds at 1 full second. Tyson Miller trying to close. Last time he lost about 1/10 of a second to these front 4 drivers. Your race lead at the end of what is going to be the 4th of an estimated 22 laps and 12 minutes of racing is going to be under a second once again, though, as Luke Canup just slowly pokes away at the race lead. This is where, if you're Connor Barry, I think you probably want to fight rather than allow Luke Canup to try and close. I'd rather finish second and let Keaton Swain lead than allow Luke Canup to grab first.
That's what I was thinking, my same thing right there. And also Crystal King's hoping that Luke and Connor keep battling. It slows them down. She's able to stay up on, right on their back door.
Through the whoop section, out through the final corner, wrap back around. Remember, 12 minutes of racing, 14 for the final of the races, with that top 4 invert that's highlighted on the left-hand side of the screen. Tyson Miller is starting to close up to Crystal King, so just keep an eye on that one. Second bit of a breakaway is forming behind of Matthew Lindy. The Plum machine of Christopher Plumley sees a slide job. Dane Culver trying to fight his way on forward, battling with Cody Van der Veer.
Oh, what a crazy one. Van der Veer gets good one, but look at that. Culver with a nice under move. He goes there and slides right in there, but look at this. Van der Veer answers right back.
I don't think Dane's looking very happy right now. Parks it on the apex as Van der Veer, and no fiberglass flying for either of them, but definitely not happy on the bottom right corner is Dane Culver saying something on the radio. I'm glad we can't necessarily read the lips in that situation. Back up front, 1 second still your race lead. Keaton Swain not being closed on by Luke Canup. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. 8 minutes still left to go.
Well, I'm telling you, man, when you guys start battling, it just kind of like slowly the time just slips away, inches slip away. Keaton's fine with it. Let me tell you, he's not having a problem. Connor Barry, though, he's getting, okay, we got to get up there. We got to start fighting with Luke a little bit more. He needs a better position, especially when we start talking about, the invert again.
A week off before we go racing, I think, for the drivers up and down through the field, not just those 1 and 2 fighting for the throne, but those fighting for their spots inside of the top 10. There's going to be a week to just go off and relax a little bit, especially after what was a pretty crazy week last week. The doubleheader racing on Wednesday and then racing on Thursday. I'm sure some of the drivers will be quite grateful, Dave, to be able to take a week with a little less practice behind the wheel.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, it's kind of crazy. And of course, now with this little, they got a break. They're going to get ready. And I got to tell you what, the guy's going to spend a lot of time figuring Crandon out. And
again, 10 wide on the start. It's going to be great. Can't wait for you to join us on, I just checked the calendar, May the 22nd. And of course, that is one of the best weeks of the racing year. You've got the Indy 500, the Coke 600, and then some other racing as well. Formula One, the Nürburgring 24-hour race, basically everything in the real world. I'm sure there's some short course racing as well, right, Dave? It's Memorial Day. There must be.
Well, they're getting there. I know the Anigo is going to be coming up here real soon. Also you got Baja 500 coming up shortly after that, too.
Again, a busy time in the real world. I'm sure some of these drivers as well. Still, Connor Barry puts the pressure on, but this is in the fight very much now for second because that Sim Coaches Factory Sim Sport 21 truck is gone. We are past or so, getting towards the halfway mark of this 12-minute race, still with Luke Knupp feeling the pressure. And I did get word that a second truck has broken a wheel. Cole Fisher now has done it as well. Yes. So clearly, taking that line might not be the wisest thing in the world.
I wonder if it was the wheel or is it suspension. It's hard to tell. That thing just wasn't moving. It was all locked up in the front.
It's very wobbly. That's all I can quite tell from that camera shot. Didn't really give us an insight as to what you would want the wrenches to then get to work to. No fiberglass flying from these two drivers who, I will say, pristine trucks on either part. As much as they've, scraped a little bit here and there, Connor Barry has not forced any aggressive moves just yet. Halfway through this race now officially, Dave, 1.5 seconds, the lead for Keaton Swain.
I'm just amazed on that final turn when they're coming around, they don't hit those track lights there. I mean, Luke literally puts his front bumper on that thing and slides right by. He's leaving no daylight for anybody.
Behind them, Trenton Briley, who's got that right rear flying around, is being challenged by the Terminator. This for 5th position. Great fight in the air and all as Cody Winicki sits behind and might just try and slide back up the inside through the whoop section. He's alongside of the Terminator, gets cattywampus, saves the machine. Will not lose a position to Cody Retzlaff either. But that is a section where we've seen not once, not twice, but 3 times now, Dave, drivers have made some rather uncomfortable mistakes.
And absolutely, it changed also in those LCQs. It changed it up quite a bit. So here in the main event, that's something they got to be very mindful of for sure. Winicki's luckily he collected himself because Ratzliff could have bettered his position. Still watching the battle here though with Luke Knupp and Connor Barry. Crystal King slid back just a little bit. She's by her lonesome, sitting in a comfortable 4th position. But Keaton Swain, no challenges for him yet.
Again, reminder, that is how the points play out if they finish as this stands at the end of the second main event. As much as Connor Barry is trying to challenge, Luke Knupp will still have the outside line, but for a moment you could see that one position worth 1 point. That is the margins that we're talking about right here, and they're bleeding time right now. You could see how slow they were off the corner. Luke Knupp being pushed effectively by Connor Barry, but all that pushing cannot really do too much. Crystal King's not closing. These two can afford to fight.
And it looked like Luke Knupp got on the binders list a little bit because it looks like Connor wanted to slide down to the inside, and it looks like Luke's like, nope, you ain't going to do that. I'm just going to hinder your forward momentum just a little bit. Very smart driving by these two drivers.
And it's where that experience of knowing each other as well probably plays out, because as much as they're throwing these moves, they know where the limits are. They know what each other's probably wanting to do. Over the whoop section, Barry on the outside again. Can he slide to the inside? This is where, let's not forget, Luke Knupp's at that very, very tight line. It could open him up to a potential challenge, but not this time by still, as the gap continues to open up for your race lead. I mean, these, let's not forget, are the two fighting for the championship, and you can see why, how consistent they have been. Keaton Swain making a bit of a statement with his speed to break away, Dave. 2 seconds now his margin, 3 minutes to go.
And boy, you can just hear the damage to these trucks. Everything's rattling, loosening up on these things, the impact. I love it when they come off of turn 1. You could actually hear that catch fence start to rattle. These guys are pinning it.
For the first time, I've just noticed that the front end on Barry's machine showing a bit of visual damage from, I think, where the bumper gets slightly displaced every time they rock it over that little bit of a hump, and back across the line they go. Should be, I think, 6 or so laps still left in this one. been a fascinating fight. Haven't seen too many actual switches for position. Let's go back to the Terminator, Tyson Miller, who's got Cody Winicki trying to make a move. And I think what we've seen so far over the course of the evening, Dave, if you're on the outside, down out of turn 2, you better be aggressive if you want to make the move down in through 3.
Yeah, and I'm really seeing over the seasons how the lines have really changed for iRacing. Before, everybody used to dive to the inside, protect the inside. It's still a fast line, but a lot of guys, you got nobody around you. That middle preferred line is very quick out of there, and it sets you up nice for the whip section.
It's a flowing track. As much as it is a bull ring, you've got to get into that flow rather quickly. Different sort of a flow to Crandon next time out. Luke Knupp a bit wide, and for the first time, Connor Barry's got a bit of a nose in front towards the final corner. This is where Knupp will slide on through and cover the outside, but back up the inside comes the championship leader. In the air, side by side, handful of laps to go, and can the Nitro Circus sim racing machine make the slide job work? He'll run out of momentum, run out of steam, and Luke Knupp holds on.
Yeah, I think he scrubbed a lot of speed when you're just sliding sideways there. You're not getting that forward momentum. You know, that 1 foot per second versus 3 foot per second.
It's the trade-off, right? The forward momentum versus horizontal, and it's what makes this challenge so fascinating. And I do enjoy how these trucks really race. Barry's trying everything. He is throwing the kitchen sink right now at Luke Knupp, but nothing is sticking. What, maybe 3 laps left to go? What more can he really try at this point, Dave, that he hasn't already attempted?
Well, I mean, you know, I hate to say this, but sometimes you got to fake him out a little bit, like you're going to the inside and just, you know, try and get that outside line, bounce off the wall, and get Luke to your inside, because I think it's been so quick.
I mean, it's almost the fight of futile at this point, a fight of the futile, because every time Connor Barry tries the same thing, it just ends up in the same result.
Right
Again, a crossover, this time maybe a little bit more efficient on the execution down through the opening corner. He's a bit tighter, bumps his way in fact, but you can see how much slower he is on the power earlier with four-wheel drive as well. And Luke Knupp holds on once more. This would be fascinating if it was in a Pro 2 truck battle. Crystal King, though, has finally closed. 3-way fight for second and third.
Yeah, because these guys are battling so tight right now. She can just see the opportunity starting to unfold in front of her. If these two, you know, trying to. But you know what? 5 seconds to go in this main here. They're going to get the white flag when they come by.
Indeed.
There it is, final lap.
Barney's going to wave that for about 40-odd seconds or so before the checkered flag flies. And for your race leader, Keaton Swain, there's not even going to be an argument. It's very much been full focus, slightly further back. You can keep an eye on that in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. For the first time in his iRacing short course career, it is going to be Keaton Swain, a winner in one of these Triple Crown races. What a dominant display from him as well. Winning in the second of the main events, lines up fourth for the final main, but the championship leaders banging and rubbing doors on the run towards the line.
Oh.
Connor Barry tried everything, and it's going to be thousands. It's Knupp by 33 thousandths at the line. Make that 10 thousandths. My goodness.
Man, talk about a tight one photo finish there. Couple photo finishes there. Crystal King's going to wrap up that fourth position, but Trenton Browley really fought his way up to fifth. There was Ratliff, Winicki, Miller, Lind, and Plumley, the top 10.
I'm loving these Triple Crown races. I like both formats,
I like this
though.
format.
The problem
I do
is,
too.
how do we do both of them, Dave?
Yes, I know. I mean, I love the comp caution. I love the race within the race, but also let them run. Just let them run is fun sometimes. You know, we brought that in basically for television. That was to keep the racing tire to go there. That was the whole idea. The way these races are, everybody's so close, there's no real runaways.
Oh, I mean, calm your hearts down for just a moment. We'll let the drivers do that as well. Here's a look at those results. Remember, top 4 invert, and so Keaton Swain going to drop to 4th and flip around with Factory SimSport teammate Crystal King, who will lead us to the green and try and do the very same thing. Luke Knupp and Connor Barry will flip as well. Barry to start in 2nd, Knupp to start in 3rd. Boy, we're going to be treated to a fight at the front. Trenton Browley, Cody Retzlaff, Cody Winicki, and then Tyson Miller, Matthew Lindy, and Christopher Plumley. The rest of your top 10, the Plum Machine able to hold on and stay out of a bit of trouble, while Dane Culver fights forward to 11th in front of Dashley, Winkler, Vanderveer, Mikolajczyk, and Golding, the only 2 trucks that involved in some incidents and end up laps down, Jeremy DeWitt and Cole Fisher. Let's not wait around, though. Let's get ready to go, and we'll we don't need to talk about the starting grid because we just talked about how they finish in the first of the and second in the main events. It's kind of obvious from there, but you mentioned the formats and everything, Dave. We let them run. We let them run now for 14 minutes, so maybe 25, 26 laps or so. I think we know that drivers at the front can fight, but what we know is that can cost time. Keaton Swain has shown that he can break away if he's given the opportunity.
Yeah, that's for sure. I agree on that. The opportunity is everything.
We saw Barry go aggressive through turn number 1. I'm going to suspect he's going to be on the outside of the opening row. He's going to now have to watch in the inside mirror to how aggressive the other drivers want to end up being. I think there's so much that's going to go through the mind of the drivers. Let's talk, though, about how it would finish if they lined up at the checkered flag as they will at the drop of the green. Top right, once again, you'll see the points. Luke Knupp would win this third Triple Crown by 1 point over Keaton Swain. Connor Barry would be down in third position. That would mean 4 points Knupp would take as an advantage over Barry. It would be a 2-point difference. Barry would hold on to the lead, Dave, but 2 points going over to the big house.
I mean, the big house will decide everything, and talk about qualifying and heat wins and everything is going to come down to it. I mean, talk about a nail biter. It hasn't been this close in a while.
I want to make a bit of a prediction here. I think Keaton Swain's going to win this one, though. I can't see him being stopped. He was quite patient in the first of the main events. He can afford to be a little less patient now.
I mean, honestly, he's got nothing to lose except for a DQ.
And maybe
he's not that type of driver.
Yes, and maybe the other thing is he could end up influencing the championship in a way that he didn't necessarily intend, but not expecting that. True. Again, 14 minutes, no comp caution, and we've slowly built up the race lengths. It's now finally time to see who wins this final Triple Crown. Already have seen Connor Barry, Luke Knupp trade the victories. It'll be Crystal King with a golden opportunity, though, to grab a race win, not an overall win in this Triple Crown event, and really show her speed after what has been a pretty impressive season. Let's not forget that in terms of championship, she's involved in that fight for 8th position with Sean Winkler and Cody Winicki.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy there. And Crystal King has just been phenomenal this round. She's been so consistent coming to this Triple Crown race. And, of course, she's racing with the best. She's going to set the pace. I mean, I'm not going to take it away. Crystal could possibly take this one, the final round. You never know if you get that truck really wide and keep your lines. But I'll tell you, Luke Knupp and Connor Barry, Keaton Swain, Trenton Briley, she's going to have her hands full.
It's going to be a good one, that's for sure. Ready to go for the final time here in the penultimate round of the 2024 iRacing Short Course National Series. Presented by Next Level Racing, we made our way to the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. Early pickup there from Crystal King, and green flag flies. What does Connor Barry do with the pressure from Luke Knupp? There's a bit of contact, they're still side by side, and Keaton Swain sits behind and does not take it 3 wide on the run to the second corner. Still Knupp's going to try and make it work. Barry on the outside will have the momentum, the run down into the braking zone of the next corner, though, and it will be as they are at the front. Challenge, though, to Crystal King.
And Connor Barry is going to come out the outside line coming out. It was the inside switch up there, but Crystal's got a great line. She was so smart getting on there. She left those boys just sitting there thinking, what just happened there? She got on the loud pedal, and they're all chasing her.
Luke Knupp very sideways, big slide, similar sort of situation for King. Challenge of 2x2 into the second corner, and Barry will challenge for the lead. Keaton Swain trying to follow him through, almost 4 wide off the corner. Insanity! And as King gets robbed of the race lead, around the outside, Keaton Swain tries to make it. Barry 1, Swain 2, Luke Knupp trying to hold on to 5th position. He gets cattywampus and slides out of the lead pack.
Brilliant move by Swain as he got right up on the bumper of Connor Barry, able to follow right through, allowing Crystal King not to turn down, but don't count her out yet as we go on board with Luke Knupp. And that splash and go graphics, boy, that thing is bright. Oh, big shove to Crystal King there as looks like he got a little help from Winicki.
Got to be careful in the air. You don't really have control of your machine. On board with Trenton Briley. Look at the head movement as well. Just as you slide through that hairpin. Already can tell you that Nicholas Dashley and Matthew Lindy and now Cole Fisher involved in bits of drama down the back of the field. Front of the field, though, relatively clean amongst all of this great fighting. Crystal King, very slow across the jump, though, might have got some damage on the truck. And now as Luke Knupp around the outside holds on to third, our pole sitter dropped down to fifth.
And Trenton Brierley is now in that fourth position there. Dane Culver trying to get back up in the fight. Of course, not going to be so much a factor, but he's trying to get his every point he can right now, as he still was in a points battle back there trying to make a podium for the overall season.
Remember, it's Culver versus Keaton Swain and Zachary Drapkin. Of course, Drapkin missing today to sit for a college exam. First race he's missed in 5 years, so that's some dedication to sim racing. Good to see the dedication to academics as well. Dane Culver's gone into the dark, though, now at the very end. Let's hope he channels his dark side as well. Can he slide his way to the inside of Crystal King? Will force the issue at turn 2.
Well, it was already May the 4th, so we can't use that now.
4 days ago, we'll just wind back the time with our powers of the Force. King's shed the entire rear right side of that truck. You can tell how much the front of the field has just been leaning on one another. And let's check back in with your leaders, because Keaton Swain and Connor Barry fighting in and amongst themselves, and all allowing Luke Knupp to close back up at the end of what is lap number 5.
And I tell you what, you might be close on the idea of talking about Swain taking this one, but Connor Barry's definitely going to try and do it. No damage to the top 3 trucks. Boy, I've seen a lot of fiberglass flying on the back of the field, but these 3 drivers have been keeping it so clean. It's impressive.
It's been quite interesting that we've had incidents, and I think Dane Culver's dropped down a couple of spots now, as you can see behind, elbows out from him in his Angelix racing car, and I think Crystal King wasn't having any of that. She is very much willing to return the favor, but we've seen incidents mostly at the back of the field, mainly just because of the checkups and everything. Once we get to the main event with 18 machines out on track, it's not been so chaotic in the LCQs and stuff. There's a very, very high level of racecraft. Dane Culver has carved his way back up forward, though, and now into 4th.
And Crystal King getting a lot of pressure now from Trenton Brierley. Cody Winicki leaning on Brierley just a little bit as we look at Cody Ratzlaff and Chris Plumley. Plum Crazy Machine trying to chase down Ratzlaff.
Trenton Brierley shakes the head bottom right. Christopher Plumley's in VR on the left-hand side, and there is definitely fiberglass that needs to be removed from the front right, of Dane Culver's car. Just needs one solid yoink, and it might just be a little less distracting for the drivers. Look at how much sends are being made, though. That was Christopher Plumley, a little bit like a bat out of nowhere, just trying to slither his way to the inside, and now tries to crisscross, but gets blocked effectively as Sean Winkler and Tyson Miller just slide into the shot as well. It would be around at this point, Dave, that we'd probably be talking about competition cautions, but not here in this final main event. Instead, 9 minutes to go, and these 3 at the front have it all left to fight for.
Oh, I could see a riot if we pulled that caution flag out right now with these 3 drivers. They are in the zone. Great onboard shot there from Knupp as Knupp's trying to work on them. They're not, these 2 battling, Knupp should be able to get up there and get into the fight. I think this is going to happen soon. With a little under 9 minutes to go, still a lot of time in this race. Knupp now challenging Swain.
First time as well. We'll see that more and more over the course of the rest of this estimated 16 or so laps of racing. Just want to give a shout out as well to the entire Nitro Circus Sim Racing team. What a big day it was for them yesterday, breaking through and their very first eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series win. And what better place to do it in a lottery of a race at Talladega. Dylan Duval grabbing what was his first win in almost 8 years or so of eNASCAR competition. The first for the Nitro Sim Racing team. I'm sure they're very delighted and now hoping Connor Barry can take a step closer to what would be another championship for him here in the short course world. It's crazy to think Nitro Circus, an eNASCAR team, Dave, isn't it?
Oh, I know. And of course now I just realized we're missing Jacob Raffis too.
Yes, who is now a 4-time Racecraft Rallycross RX1 champion. Yes. So the hits keep on rolling for the Nitro Circus team.
It's funny you brought up the NASCAR. I was going to say, were they going to pull out like they used to always say an old NASCAR caution? Oh, we found a piece of debris on the track. let's throw a caution flag.
Well, Dane Culver's right front's gone missing, so if we do want a caution, there is some debris around that we could probably go and find. No, we don't need cautions now for debris, but I have commentated on some sim races where that sort of debris would end up bringing caution, and it definitely makes things quite interesting. Battle for the lead. Once again, though, not going to get too excited about what has been a bit of a repetition. Driver looks to the outside, tries to cut back down through turn number 3, and then through the whoop section, doesn't end up making it work. It's going to be over and over again that Keaton Swain tries and tries and tries, but look at how much more aggressive he was out the final corner, and alongside in the air, might have a move into the opening corner.
Oh, definitely. There's always these strategies, on the setup on the trucks, whether it's going to be fast in the beginning or you set it up for the second half or the last half of the race, we like to say. Sometimes they get a little bit faster. All the strategies come from the real life, how you grooved your tires, how your suspension set up, your shock starting to go, how much fuel you're carrying, the weight changes, the car starts to change a little bit. So I like how they take a little bit into consideration in iRacing that way too.
I'm just being transported back in time again to the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Conor Barry and Keaton Swain fighting at the front for both of the seasons that we had. And Conor Barry, the two-time and to be undefeated champion with that series not returning for 2024. And this effectively becomes their World Championship and some of the other series that they will get to fight alongside one another. Switchback from Keaton Swain. Now, there was a bit of a wrinkle on the front end of his truck for a moment. There was a bit more contact than I think he was expecting and had planned for. We are officially, though, halfway through this final main event, and it's still these three drivers pulling away, but with Dane Culver slowly but surely thinking about bringing himself into contention. Luking up with the ramp off the opening corner, not able to get to the inside of the 21.
Yeah, he's trying to do everything he can. You can see Luke's looking up. Now, he'll go for an outside-inside. Now, Luke's going to probably try to dive down low, see if he can do it. Can't get that momentum. He just wasn't in the right position. Keaton Swain working all over Connor. Going to lean on him just a little bit as they come around, trying to set up. See, we saw Connor doing this to Luke in the last race.
But always the outside reigns supreme in terms of momentum, and now Keaton Swain leaves himself vulnerable potentially to Knupp Splash and Go car. Splashes itself over the jump and up the inside, almost runs into the back of the Nitro Circus Sim Racing car as well. Now through the braking zone of turn 3, you can run the other machine out wide, and that's what Swain will do there, and entering the whoop section single file once more. But that was the first sign that Knupp could try something if Swain slightly slipped up, and once again he'll have the move if he wants to into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's going to try and make it. Swain's going to try and make a run there, but man, look at that. All three of them were staggered out. All three of them in a train. Oh, Knupp looking at the inside, trying to see if he can get to the inside of Swain. Swain's going to tuck in behind Connor. Let's see how it's going to go. Outside in again. Nope, he's going to stay that middle outside line. Seems to be pretty quick as he tucks in behind Swain.
Again, reminder, if they finish as they are right now, Conor Barry wins this race provisionally, barring race control's intervention. Keaton Swain, the winner of the Triple Crown, grabs the 50 points, and it would be down to just a couple of points between Conor Barry and Luke Knupp heading into that final round at Crandon, and what fun that would be. We've only got, I think, 7 or so, maybe 8 laps still left for these leaders as they continue to run. Let's go ahead, though, and talk about some of the stories further back in the field, because I did mention that a couple of drivers got involved in incidents. Not for the first time today. Nicolas Dachelet in the air with some contact, and things going wrong for him.
Oh, big time over by Dachelet. Looks like he just tucked that in. He's able to get it back on the rubber side down. It's like an old Weebles wobble move as he's able to continue on there, but definitely affected his positions. And you can see a lot of contact there with Culver and Briley.
You could see that passing, a bit of a premium for some drivers, but Dane Culver was able to work his way on forward. Some of the action that we've seen. Back with the live pictures, still waiting to see if Luke Knupp and Keaton Swain can mount the challenge onto Conor Barry, but I think one thing that is for sure, Dane Culver's not going to come with them. There goes the splash and go machine, tries to get up the inside, but out through the final corner, it's a fight for second.
Yeah, with 3 minutes left, there's still a little bit of time there. Knupp's going to keep it low, trying to do what Connor did early, but you can see Connor and Keaton Swain were both hitting that wall, taking, I like to say, that qualifying run or the Robbie Woods line.
I'm going to steal that one from now on forward. Robbie Wood's line here on RaceSpot TV. Behind, well, that was Keaton Swain and Luke Canup costing each other a couple of seconds effectively there, because it has allowed the margin to build. And first time in this third main event, gap was over a second on our timing screen. Swain holds on in the fight behind, but again, it's just for the win in the Triple Crown. It's not for the win in this race. And maybe Swain realizes that as well.
Yeah, and Connor's just basically just starting to check out this point. Now that Luke and Swain are battling there, slowing these two drivers down there. A lot of contact there, but all good door-to-door contact. There we go. Now Luke's looking for the little slide job underneath.
But
trying to set it up there.
Left on the outside once again, and this is where you try something through the inside on one corner, it switches you back to the outside. And if you're on the inside of turn one, I do think it's not where you want to be, and so we'll reset and try once more. But Dave, these laps are running away. Connor Barry's got that margin, might be comfortable.
Oh yeah, definitely. Connor's just going to put it on cruise control, and now in his head is like, all right, just be smooth, don't make any mistakes. Swain's saying, get my elbows out.
Won't be the only
Luke Canup's coming.
Might be Crystal King as well on Cody Winicki. Luke Canup gets it done, though. I think he slightly balked Keaton Swain there for a moment. I think Race Control might take a look at that, and Dane Culver might pounce for a spot on the podium. Again, look at the points on the top right. We've got a handful of laps still left to go. That means Keaton Swain drops a second, and Luke Canup would win this second Triple Crown race. And again, a 4-point swing between him and Connor Barry. And if I do the championship math correctly, 2 points would be the difference going into the final round.
Talk about a squeaker. That is just mind-blowing to see how close these drivers have finished it out. You know, I got to say, I think it's going to be decided with qualifying and heat, you know, with the heat race. It could be the points decision right there, because 2 points would separate them. 2 points between first and second. Just saying.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but more importantly, I also think that based on qualifying speed, drivers will now recognize what they've got to prepare for. This is the look from up above. Keaton Swain, I think, just ran into the back of Luke Canup. Don't think there was anything untoward there by any means, but one more lap here left to go. Barry 1, Canup 2 as they run in the championship, but it is going to be potentially a final lap that will see the championship margin shrink. 1 lap to go here at the Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park, and Dave, these Triple Crown events, we need more of them.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the comp caution. I'm old school. I came from it, but boy, the talent is so close. I don't think it's even necessary anymore with these guys.
We can unleash them, and what a show they can put on. At the end of the day, though, it is going to all come down to the wire, not just here on track, but in a couple of weeks' time when we make our way to the big house. Connor Barry wins the final main event here in the Triple Crown from Wild Horse Pass Motorsports Park. But it is going to be provisionally Luke Canup, the winner of the Triple Crown, and taking the championship fight down to the very wire. Connor not with much of a reaction. I think that, Dave, tells us the story.
Yeah, he pretty much knows he needed Keaton Swain, and between him and Luke at that point. So qualifying and heat racing is going to how this one's going to be decided in 2 weeks.
And again, land rush start. You don't want to leave yourself in jeopardy, especially when we get 18 trucks into the main event and set and gridded to go. All drivers now are officially across the line. I'm looking forward to a quick chat with the drivers to wrap up our coverage, and then we will say goodbye to you all and look forward to what lies ahead. What a Triple Crown event that has been put into the books, and it is the second Luke Canup Triple Crown overall victory. Connor Barry, though, does grab a race win in the event. 3 different race winners as well. His margin of victory over a second at the end of the day in his Nitro Circus sim racing machine. Team Gold's number 5 second, and then Keaton Swain might be a little frustrated at the end of the day, but again, we've seen the pace from him. We know just what he's capable of. Dane Culver fights his way back to 4th in front of Trenton Briley, with both of the race winners last week finishing top 5 in the final main event. Cody Winicki, Crystal King in their fight for 8th in the championship, 6th and 7th on track, and then Cody Retzlaff, Tyson Miller, and Christopher Plumley, the rest of your top 10. Plenty of factory SimSport trucks in the mix, and Sean Winkler's Racecraft 720 is 11th in front of Nicholas Dashley, and then Cody Vanderveer and Jeremy DeWitt. They are all scored on the lead lap. 1 lap down for Cole Fisher, 2 laps down for Oliver Golding, and then Paul Mikolajic and Matthew Lindy unfortunately involved in various little bits of issues and not getting to see the end of the race. Still waiting to see if we can catch up with your event winner in Luke Canup, but at least in the meantime, let's see if we can one by one work our way through the finishers as they finished at the end of main event number 3. Dave Arnold standing by with Keaton Swain.
Keaton Swain, what an incredible race. I know you wanted to see a little bit better results, but watching you, Connor Berry, and Luke Canup, you three are pretty much the best. The cream has risen to the top.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be tough with all three of us up front there. Luckily, the second race, they were, I think, battling it out behind me, and I was able to walk away. So that one felt real good. And I knew in the third one, I just had to stay in front of Luke to not get the overall. But kind of got together there and right-hander before the whips, and I had to get out of the gas. Otherwise, probably would have ended up in the K-rail. So just thought better of it there. We'll take the second as we're kind of battling for third in the points, kind of out of it for the championship. So just try to put together 3 good runs there, try to get a decent finish out of it, and I think we ended up second, so that's pretty good.
Does it change your strategy without a comp caution on this one, where you just run the whole time with these Triple Crown formats?
Well, it definitely changes the strategy a little bit, knowing that you don't have that midway break and you can save your truck for it. You kind of got to, if you start up front, it's hope everyone behind you battles and you're just going to have a clean track, clean air, and you can just put laps down, which is kind of what happened in the second race for me. I knew kind of wanted to save my truck there in that third one because I knew it was going to be a battle at the end, but just came up a little bit short. But definitely a different strategy with no mandatory.
Well, definitely an entertaining race for sure. Can't wait to see what you're going to do. I know you're going to bring it in the final race, but so many great people behind you that keeps you consistently getting onto the box.
Yeah, for sure. I got to thank Lawrence over at Sim Coaches. He makes great products for sim racing. So him and then everyone at Factory Sim Sport on the team helps put in laps each week and try and get faster. And then obviously everyone that helps out Connor's league here. And of course, you guys for making us look good out there on the track.
Well, Keaton, congratulations. Great race. Makes it always enjoyable to watch the three of you guys having a clean battle out there. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do in the next round.
Thanks.
And we'll make our way from Keaton Swain, third on the main event 3 podium, second overall, to the winner of the Triple Crown, Luke Canup. Luke, your splash and go machine made a bit of a splash in qualifying, and at least provisionally, the way that we've worked out the math, it's down to 2 points between you and Connor Barry heading into the final round. It's all down to that race at Crandon in 2 weeks' time. How are you feeling after this Triple Crown win and just one more race left to go?
Yeah, feeling really good. Was really worried after the first 2 races. We were just really tight, and you could see I held off Keaton in the first race as good as I can. And then the second race, we had nothing. So made a big swing for the setup in the last race and got away from the drama behind me and knew the point situation, what I had to do either way. I think I knew that if I got third and Connor won, I would have still beaten him and gained solid points. But knew I just had to beat Keaton. And so when I saw he got vulnerable, I made the move for it and had a good battle with him. So always fun racing with Connor and Keaton, and just stoked to take another win home. Fast qualifier, solid points haul. Made it real close going into the last round.
Dave and myself, we talked a little bit about how much we enjoy this format. It's quite different, of course, to the way that the regular races work. We'll be back to that with its competition caution. But I think, more importantly, from Dave and my perspective for the championship, Luke, we've kind of been thinking about qualifying the heat races where, 5 points for pole, there's 2 points for respective heat wins. That is where the championship could end up being decided, right? How are you going to be racing going into Crandon, the big house, land rush start, knowing it could be chaotic? What's the mentality that you have right now?
I'm just having fun doing this, so really it's just been a blast. So I have no pressure on me. I'm stoked either way. If I get second, if I get third, I'm just having fun, and it's been a heck of a season so far. So either way, we're gonna go into the last round swinging. Like you said, just gotta qualify good, get a good heat race, and hopefully start in the top 2. Hopefully start pole, and do everything we can to try to win the championship. But either way, been a heck of a season, and just can't thank Team Gold Esports for everything, Impact Race Gear, Splash and Go Graphics for this awesome scheme, and Refined and Tyler for making that big setup call for the last race. It really helped.
It's a great racing driver attitude, and you remember to thank all the sponsors without me needing to ask. So Luke Knupp checks both of the boxes. Congratulations, Luke, and best of luck in 2 weeks' time when we go racing for a championship.
Thanks, Arjuna.
Luke Knupp joins us, and now one final interview. Dave Arnold standing by with championship leader, but by a slim margin, it's Connor Barry.
Connor, what a crazy format these Triple Crowns bring. You know, the drama, the intensity of this. But watching the three of you battle it out was just incredible. Now let's talk about, with your, we always talk about setup and the trucks and all that. When you don't have that comp caution, even Luke mentioned, your truck, you don't have time to, all right, I'm going to save it for the first half and I'm just going to bring it on the second half. You got to be on it the entire race.
Yeah, it definitely was fun, and it was very intense, and I think our setup was good, but we were still a tad bit off, so I'm pretty bummed on that. We still got third, which is good, but we had to go out there and beat the 5. Well, he got first, so it's gonna be tough now. So we're going to Crandon, and I think we might be tied. So I'm bummed about it, but hey, we still got third. So just gotta go back and find some speed and try to win this race, because it's gonna be whoever gets first. So.
Well, that's something I was going to bring up. Arjuna and I were talking about it. Could be 2 points as we kind of figured our math out a little bit. Qualifying, heat races, and the main. You could be, we already know pretty much it's going to be you, Luke, and Keaton has been pretty much the status quo for you guys battling. Points-wise, could Keaton be a spoiler, or even another driver like a Crystal King or an Oliver Golding, a Scott, or a Zach Drapkin getting in there, separating you guys points-wise, whether Luke's in front or you're behind? Are you taking all this into your head and the math is going?
Yeah, I was. I think the biggest thing is I knew that Swain in this race, he had to beat him inside the third one. So I was trying to be kind to Swain, because I knew that he was in. I knew the 5 that he was in third, so he would get the win. But the 5 got into the second spot, so I had to just go out there and try to win that race. We still got third. Then now, Crandon, we have a 2-point cap, so I mean, it's just going to be about that start. It's all going to be about that start. I think the qualifying is going to be big. That's something that I've been pretty bad on, so I need to fix that, or else I am not going to I will not have a shot. So we're going to put in some work, and we're gonna get this thing on top.
Well, I know we're all waiting with bated breath to see how this is going to go. We got a week off, and then it's going to come on. A lot of fights going through all your heads. I know one thing I got to do, Luke said, hey, I'm fine with getting second or third. But you guys are race car drivers. You want to finish on top all the time. How are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to win. I've been the champion in this league since 2022, and I want to try and go for my third one. So it's going to be hard, but I know that we will. I know that we will go back. We will for sure find some speed, and it's going to be a battle. And let's hope that I am able to come out on top.
Well, you guys got a great team and so many great people behind you that make this possible. I know Arjuna mentioned that the Nitro Circus eNASCAR team did really well, and I know you're probably looking to back this up and put it on the dirt side for them.
Yeah, for sure. I want to give a big thanks to them. They've been a big help, and we're going to go find some speed. I want to give a thanks to CBR, General Tire, Arjuna, and you for this stream. And that's it. So on that note, we will see you in 2 weeks.
Well, good luck to you. Great job, Connor Berry. And of course, we're all looking forward to this Arjuno. I'll tell you, man, this has been epic. I kind of almost want to say I want to see a triple crown on the last race, but I think round 10 at Crandon, just the land rush makes it exciting enough.
I can't even imagine putting all of those things together. Our brains may explode. We definitely lose our voices. And so you want to join us May 22nd, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Again, we'll take a week off. Thank you to the drivers and the race control team for being quite flexible in the schedule, making it all work. I'll be honest, around my own travel plans, I'll be in Atlanta next week. So very grateful that we can make it stick so that I'll be there for the finale, because look at how this season has gone, Dave, right? I go back to the start. Luke Knupp the first win, and then 3 consecutive wins for Connor Barry. Crandon, where things are going to end. Guess who won when we went there at the start of the season? To the long layout, not the short. It was Barry. It's going to be all on the line, and I think my math is correct. I'm not confident, but I'll say I think 2 points, Barry's lead going into that final round.
Yeah, I think you're pretty close on that too. As I started calculating, I even took my shoes and socks off to figure this out. I can count past 10. But no, this is just incredible. And I mean, I got to say, this one did not disappoint. But boy, talk about anticipation. It's going to be insane as we move into Crandon.
And that is the story of the season. Last week was the first-time winners. It was Trenton Briley, Dane Culver interrupting the party. But today was very much about the return of the dominant forces, Luke Knupp and Connor Barry at the very front, and Keaton Swain keeping them honest. So I cannot wait for it in 2 weeks' time, our season finale. And I hope you'll join us May 22nd for all of that action. For the team behind the scenes here at iRacing Short Course National, powered by Next Level Racing. For Cam Oben on social media, Dave Arnold alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati in the commentary booth. Thanks so much for your company. We'll see you for the season finale in 2 weeks' time from the Big House, where the championship will be thrown down.